Tear gas fired to disperse a group of university students.
Former leader of the JVP, Somavangsha Amarasinghe, passes away.
Agreement signed with Ukraine to exchange criminals.
Suspects connected to the 85-kilogram cocaine haul to remain in custody under detention orders.
Civil societies gather in Colombo, demanding the tenure of the central bank governor not be extended.
Chandra Jayaratne urges COPE to incorporate his recommendations as part of inquiries into Central Bank, Securities and Exchange Commission and Public Utility.
A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News, live here on News First. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
Good evening, I'm Shahan Jurampot. Let's take a look at our stories in detail.
Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu, who is in the country on a two-day official visit, called on President Maithripala Sirisena today.
Discussions between the President and the Turkish Foreign Minister that took place at the President's official residence focused on strengthening relations and cooperation between the two nations. According to the Presidential Media Unit, discussions were also focused on increasing Turkish investments in the country. The media unit added that the visiting Foreign Minister had expressed the support of Turkey towards helping Sri Lanka improve its economy. Meanwhile, Turkish Foreign Minister called on Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at Temple Trace this morning. The Turkish Foreign Minister also met with his Sri Lankan counterpart Mangala Samaraweera and thereafter addressed the media.
Concluded a very productive discussion and just signed a memorandum of understanding for cooperation on diplomatic training, exchange of information and documentation. We will soon hold the second meeting of the Sri Lanka-Turkey Joint Commission on Economic and Technical Cooperation. A MOU between Sri Lanka and Turkey will be signed in the near future. Under this MOU, Turkish Exim Bank will allocate a credit line to the amount of $350 to the Sri Lankan government.
Sri Lanka is extending its helping hand to Syrian and Iraqi refugees in Turkey. This is very much appreciated. It is meaningful and symbolic. And Turkey stands by the people of Sri Lanka in the times of natural disasters. Today, I reiterated that Turkey will continue standing with Sri Lankan people in good days and in difficult days. Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency TICA established a village of 100 houses for IDPs in Sri Lanka. President Erdogan is also willing to pay a state visit to Sri Lanka within this year.
Tear gas and water cannons were used this afternoon to disperse a protest march staged by a group of university students. The measure was taken when the students marched up to the ceramic junction in Fort Colombo.
The protest march by the Inter-University Students Federation commenced from the Technical Junction in Maradana. The protest was staged against the repression of the Kalaniya University students. Their objective was to march up to the President's office. The police attempted to hand over a court order that was issued forbidding the protesters to travel beyond the boundaries of the ceramic junction in Fort, but it was ignored by the protesters. An order was issued by the Colombo Fort Magistrates Court following facts being presented by the police in order to ensure that the protesters do not enter the President's office using force. A tense situation erupted between the university students and SSP Ajit Rohana when the protesters attempted to march through the barriers. Tear gas and water cannons were used to disperse the protesters who refused to heed instructions used by the police. Police stated that 3 students were arrested for engaging in the protest in violation of the court order.
Former leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna and leader of the Jatika Sevaka Pakshaya, Somavansa Amarasinghe, passed away this morning.
Somavansa Amarasinghe, who was suffering from an ailment during the past few days, passed away at his elder brother's house in Rajagiriya. He was 73 years old at the time of his demise. Several persons, including political representatives and relatives, arrived at the location. Following the magisterial inquest, the remains were shifted to the police morgue this evening. The remains are due to be placed at number 35 Singapura Palavatta Batarmulla, which is the residence of Somavansa Amarasinghe's sister. The remains will be placed here for the public to pay their last respects, and the final rites are due to be held on Saturday, the 18th of June at the Borala Public Cemetery.
Let's now take a look back at the life of late Somavansa Amarasinghe.
Born in the rural village of Athagama in Payagala in 1943, Somavansa Amarasinghe received his primary education at the Kalutara Vidyalaya. In 1969, Somavansa Amarasinghe obtained the membership of the People's Liberation Front, or the JVP, and moved up the ranks, eventually becoming a Politburo member by 1984. During the period between 1987 and 89, 13 of the 14 JVP Politburo members were killed. Somavansa became the sole survivor of this group. Following the murder of JVP founder Rohana Vijayveera on the 12th of November 1989, Somavansa Amarasinghe fled the country. He maintained relations with the party while overseas and was appointed the leader of the JVP in 1994. In 2001, he returned to Sri Lanka as the leader of the JVP.
If there are those who lost their loved ones at the hands of the patriots, listen to this. On one hand, we seek your forgiveness. Do not misunderstand it, and do not think that we are considering that the past is wrong and casting it away. The JVP is not prepared to do that. However, history needs to be rectified.
Somavansa Amarasinghe provided leadership to the JVP till 2014 and was on the front lines of many struggles for the people. He spearheaded the JVP in their struggle to topple the UNP government in 2004 and install the Sri Lanka Freedom Party government, as well as to bring Mahinda Rajapaksa to power in 2005. Somwansha was among those who worked hard to bring Sarath Fonseca forward as the common candidate for the 2010 presidential election. At the 7th party convention on the 2nd of February 2014, Somwansha Amarasinghe handed over the reins of the party to Anura Kumara Disanayake, who currently leads the JVP.
We did not come forward in anticipation of becoming leaders of the party. We are those who came forward to accept death at any given time.
Somwansha Amarasinghe thereafter served as the party's International Affairs Secretary and resigned from the party to begin the Janata Sevaka Pakshaya in June last year. He also commenced a fast at Independence Square, demanding that an immediate investigation be carried out into the alleged conspiracy that took place at Temple Trees on the 8th of January 2015 and for the findings to be made public. He later criticized actions of the government and worked closely with the joint opposition.
I challenge the Leadership Council to give the party leadership not to me, but the rank and file of the party. Give them this party now.
Somwansha Amarasinghe, who did not pursue the luxuries of politics, breathed his last at his brother's residence in Rajagiriya.
Speaking on the Newsline segment ad on our sister channel Sirasa TV today, JVP Propaganda Secretary MP Vijitha Herath spoke on the demise of Somwansha Amarasinghe.
ඇතරම සෝමවංශ අමරසිංහ සහෝදරයා මේ පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයේ දරන කාලය තුල විශාල කැපවීමක් කරා.
Somwansha Amarasinghe was someone that worked with true dedication and commitment during his tenure. He dedicated his life to bring back the party. He fought against injustice. He undertook a yeoman service for the betterment of the party as well as the country. His loss is one that will be felt by all Sri Lankans. We salute Somwansha, our comrade, for all the efforts he undertook during his life for both the party and the country.
Former Cabinet Minister Alawi Maulana passed away this evening. Maulana, who was also a former governor of the Western Province, died at the age of 85. His remains will be taken for burial at the Dehiwala Mosque tomorrow.
Still in local news, residents of many villages in the Puttlam district staged a demonstration demanding immediate solutions for the human-elephant conflict today. Our correspondent stated that the Puttlam-Kurunegala main road was closed for around 6 hours owing to the protest.
Residents from the Karula Gaswever, Anamadu and Puttlam Divisional Secretariat areas gathered for the demonstration, which began at around 7 this morning. The protesters brought with them crops that had been damaged by wild elephants. The protesters obstructed the Galkulama junction in the Puttlam-Kurunegala main road. It has been several months, but nothing has been done as yet. We informed the wildlife officers, but they don't come. Even if they do, they just fire shots, but they have never chased them away. Our children can't even go to school. There have been several deaths reported from our village, but no official has taken any measure in this regard. Our correspondent stated that severe traffic congestions were reported on the Puttlam-Kurunegala main road owing to the protest. Thereafter, the OIC of the Puttlam Police and the Assistant Director of the Wildlife Zone arrived at the location and promised to resolve their issues. The officials engaged in discussions with 10 protesters and agreed to resolve their issues through a systematic approach. A decision was reached to construct temporary electric fences surrounding the cultivations and to repair electric fences which are disconnected. The protesters dispersed following discussions.
Court granted permission today for the 3 suspects connected to the consignment of cocaine found in a sugar container to be held for 7 days under detention orders for questioning.
5 kilograms of cocaine were discovered yesterday in a sugar container which was imported from Brazil by a business establishment in Peta, which has been importing sugar for a period of 25 years. According to officials, the market value of the consignment of drugs is nearly 2.55 billion rupees. A director, a store manager, a clerk of the company said to have imported the stock of sugar were arrested on suspicion yesterday and were produced before the Maligakandu Magistrates Court today. They are the individuals who ordered the goods, and they are the ones who got the goods cleared. After the goods were cleared, it stood in a yard for 3 days. So these persons couldn't have done this with a genuine intention. The persons who sent these goods is a foreigner. I think by now the Anti-Narcotics Division has detained him and is recording his statement. Meanwhile, a special media briefing was convened in the Finance Ministry with regard to this issue. The information was received by an SI who works in my unit on Monday. As soon as we received the information, we commenced investigations in the container yard after obtaining a special approval from the Minister of Finance. We were able to successfully end the investigations and take the drugs into custody. This local company has imported this stock of sugar through another local company. That company is registered in France and has in turn imported the sugar from Brazil. We are hoping to launch a broad investigation with the assistance of Interpol. Our country has been used as a transit harbour to transport drugs. This has become a biggest challenge for us. Using our harbour as a centre to transport large stocks of drugs is a challenge for us. It has been imported from Brazil. The Brazil embassy informed us that in the coming few days, they will arrest the individuals who are responsible from their end. The President is planning to form a special unit combining all intelligence units to combat the threat of drugs. The importer has been importing sugar on a large scale for over 20 years and the customs have not paid much attention to the importer. There is no complaint lodged against the individual so far. The customs have not detected it yet. A sugar container was carrying the stocks of drugs and there were 3 more containers similar to this. There was a stock of sugar weighing 26,650 kilograms. We officially removed the ownership of the importer.
Housing loans were provided to families in North Thande in Puttlam today by Minister Sajith Premadasa.
450 families in the Puttlam district were provided housing loans under the Visirinaya program. The former president is undertaking overseas visits and asking whether everything is all right at a time when the president and the prime minister is confiscating container loads of cocaine worth billions of rupees. I can say that a majority of people in the country are happy of being free of drug trafficking and drug rackets in the country. The reason for this is because our president and prime minister are ensuring that drug traffickers are taken into custody and ensuring that the children of the country and the youth are not being destroyed. The previous leaders who attempted to transform this country into a drug kingdom are now feeling miserable.
Think again. Is your boat working for you?
Everywhere in the world, communities have rulers. Countries have people that have the privilege of governing others. Whatever way the ruler may be elected, he enters into a compact with the masses. And the significance of the compact is that they are under obligation, the rulers are under obligation to fulfill the wishes of the people and to see to it that the country, that the masses have all the prosperity they want, they have a good life, and their well-being is perpetually assured.
Think again. Is your boat working for you?
In more local news, details of the investigations conducted into the controversial bond transaction have been submitted to the Auditor General's Department by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The Auditor General will confirm the Committee on Public Enterprises regarding the findings after analysing the details.
The Central Bank providing information to investigations conducted by the Committee on Public Enterprises, or COPE, has come under much scrutiny recently. The Government Information Department announced yesterday that instructions given by the Attorney General were followed when providing sensitive information to the COPE. The department added that officials of the Auditor General's Department can visit the Central Bank at any time and obtain necessary information. Meanwhile, the deadline to hand over details to the COPE expires today.
The problem is that details relating to the bond were not presented in accordance to the framework set by the Auditor General's Department. The Auditor General has provided documents to the Committee on Public Enterprises in this regard and has also issued a report. If the Government Information Department is instantly reacting to the media like a thief caught red-handed, then we as the Committee on Public Enterprises will be compelled to table all the documents to Parliament. The Government Information Department is in fact the government. It is not part of the central bank. The report of the investigations will be presented to Parliament very soon. And when it is presented to Parliament, the entire country will know who has worked for the country.
Meanwhile, a joint seminar was held in Colombo today by a number of civil organizations urging for the tenure of the central bank governor not to be extended. Many of the civil organizations that took part in this seminar were those that pledged their support to the January 8th revolution. The central bank governor has to be sent home. We say to the President that the perfect opportunity has dawned upon us to make the people's expectations of good governance into a reality. We see this as the best opportunity for the President to show that he is not in favor of corruption, against thievery, nepotism and the swindling of public funds and property. Meanwhile, a media briefing was convened by the joint opposition today.
I
know one thing for sure. Out of the 1.5 years he has been in office, he has only been in the country for 180 days, while he has been overseas for another 140 days. I will not speak of the others. Now there is enough and more facts about this matter. This is the institution where money is minted. It is the bank of bankers, the operator of the state financial policies, the advisor to the government on financial policies. There is no higher institution than this. After the 8th of January, Governor Cabral handed in his resignation from the position and went home and made way for the newly elected president to appoint someone of his choice. So the president only had to appoint someone for the remaining time period of that term. That time period comes to an end at the end of this month. So at this point of time, we request the president to appoint a new central bank governor through the powers vested in him. Do not reappoint the current central bank governor.
IMF mission chief, addressing a media briefing held last evening, commented on why Sri Lanka opted for an extended fund facility or EFF instead of the usual standby agreement.
From my perspective, and I think that the government agrees, that many of the problems that Sri Lanka has to deal with in terms of macroeconomic policies are not quick fixes. They take some time, particularly tax policy, tax administration. These sort of things take time to gestate and take shape. EFF programs are typically longer than a standby arrangement. They usually have a deeper structural component, and they usually last about 3 years. So that's why we in the government decided it would probably be best to go for an EFF instead of a standby. Given the macroeconomic conditions that Sri Lanka was looking at, where it had a deficit of close to 6.9% in 2015, it was looking at a potential widening of that deficit in 2016 if actions weren't taken. Really, there was a short-term need to reduce the overall fiscal deficit and reduce the borrowing requirement this year. That really had to happen in order to maintain stability and regain investor confidence. And it was really redoing the Inland Revenue Act, for example, to widen the tax base, get rid of exemptions, get rid of tax holidays, do away with special rates. To be perfectly frank with you, that's a process that can take anywhere from 9 months to a year. But in the short term, the government needed to put the fiscal trajectory back on a consolidation track, and so there was a need in that context to raise taxes. Over the medium term, and really, starting next year, hopefully, because the new Inland Revenue Act should be an integral part of the 2017 budget, with a wider tax base and with collections coming up, there may actually be room over the medium term to lower tax rates.
The former chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Chandra Jayaratna, in a letter addressed to the chairman of the Committee on Public Enterprises, Sunil Handanetti, has urged COPE to consider incorporating a set of recommendations as part of the inquiries on the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Securities and Exchange Commission and the Public Utility.
The letter by Jayaratne follows media reports of a primary dealer's failure to renew a security of significant value placed in government securities on behalf of a provident fund of a public utility coming under the purview of CORP. Chandra Jayaratne says that there has been no transparency of how this situation came about to negatively impact the regulator, or whether primary dealers or other financial institutions are directly associated to such contingent losses. It is in this context that Chandra Jayaratne recommends CORP to seek a clarification from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka of the level of due diligence, control and risk management oversight applied by them as the regulator of primary dealers on several matters, including the licensing of primary dealers, ensuring the directors and key management of primary dealers are fit, proper persons, the primary dealers meet with their contractual obligations to their customers. The letter also urges CORP to secure from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and the public utility concerned areas in which controls, compliances and regulatory processes have failed to come up with strategic action steps that could be taken to mitigate future risks. The letter further recommends that all primary dealers be public companies which publish their accounts quarterly in the media for public information.
Questions regarding the governor of the central bank were raised at the cabinet media briefing today.
Even the media says good things about him. I saw on a website it was mentioned that he is the one who built the economy in Singapore. I got to know that yesterday. That is his opinion. We also need to express our views. No, even if I request a media briefing for tomorrow, they will organize it for me. I began expressing my objections from the moment of his appointment. I objected on the day this was brought to the cabinet. Different people look at things in different ways. However, the good governance government will take a good governing decision. They might not extend it. It is in the President's hands. He will act accordingly. Cabinet approval has been granted to reach an agreement with regard to extraditing criminals from Ukraine. The Cabinet of Ministers approved the proposal made by President Maithripala Sirisena as the Minister of Defence on the promotion of ties with Ukraine, paying special attention to extradition of criminals who have sought refuge in Ukraine.
Leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Saleh, convened a media briefing today.
The defeated president travelled to Japan. The individual named Udayanga Weerathunga, who sold weapons to terrorists and who is wanted by police, is following Mahinda Rajapaksa to all countries he visits. What has happened to good governance? Why can't they arrest Udayanga Weerathunga? That's what we ask the government. The government is enabling him to travel to all countries visited by Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Minister of Parliamentary Reforms and Mass Media Gayantha Karunatilaka says that the Right to Information Act will be tabled before Parliament on the 23rd of next month.
The ministry has made all necessary preparations to present the Right to Information Act in Parliament on the 23rd of this month. It will be taken up for debate throughout the day on the 23rd. After that, we hope to get ideas from all ministers and have everyone's consent and have this passed through Parliament. After this Right to Information Act is passed through Parliament, we are going to set up a regulatory authority in compliance with the principles of good governance. We are hoping to bring in content, technical as well as policy regulations.
The Masco Awards Ceremony 2016, organized by the Mass Communication Association of Sri Lanka, was held in Colombo today.
Now, the event was held under the auspices of Speaker Karu Jayasuriya. Newsfirst General Manager Yasarat Kamal Siri received special awards for contribution to the media.